I'm gonna try to make this particular video not particularly political, but it's something that's occurred to me for a long time. Part of the reason I believe in intelligent design, I believe in a higher power and all that, and I'm not going to get preachy either, but it's one of the reasons I'm not really an atheist. One of the reasons is the issue with lying in human nature. Now with me, I've referred to myself in the past as a pathological truther. If you ask me a question, you're going to get no answer or the truth. It's only two options. It's even been a problem trying to play pranks on people, because when you have to use some sort of dishonesty, it's definitely a handicap. But even with people who don't have any sort of moral issue with it, at least on the surface, with doing it, you can tell people are not meant to do it. You just can't keep up with it. I mean, think about it. If you tell a lie about something, you've done something or something didn't happen, some falsehood, as time goes on, you have to keep two memories instead of one. One of them you can't help unless somehow I guess some people are capable of this. You have to completely erase the other one and force yourself to believe this lie that didn't happen. Otherwise, you got to keep, automatically you're going to keep the memory of what really happened. And then you have to have this false one, and it's got to jump in front. If anybody ever asked you something, it's got to sort of jump in front of it. And then as time goes on, it sort of spreads out, because anything could be sort of an indicator that that's not the truth. So it becomes so complex to keep the lie going. It's just hard to do. Beyond that, though, I've dealt with so many political people. There's so many trolls and people like that I think are hired to do what they're doing. And that's on both sides of, if you want to call it sides, of the political spectrum. But they don't cover their tracks all that well. I mean, even with this being sort of their job, they don't cover their tracks very well. And I've tracked them down. A lot of them tell the same lies. Give you a good example, a common one that you run across on Facebook. I don't know how it is in other areas, but down here, I imagine from from a distance, this area looks pretty bad. I don't mean just this particular area. I mean, it could probably be most of the South. And there's quite a bit of it. There's some problems here for sure. There are a lot of bad people as well. But it makes it look a lot worse because of the people who I don't think are real, that's in a lot of these local groups. And it's scary to think that, if there's not somebody doing this themselves, some person that's just doing it for themselves for some strange reason, that there might be some sort of government agency that's hiring these people to do this. It's strange that they would be that into small town America. But whatever is the case, there's a lot of fake about it. A good example, one of the things you run across is you might run across a Billy Ray or something like that. Just to give you an example. Now, from that, you could be like, okay, well, that's a first and middle name. They're leaving their last name off. Okay, I get that. But sometimes they'll put a last name in there. And I don't want this to be a training video for trolls. But the problem is this. If you're going to put a last name somewhere, it makes it so somebody can track you down. And if you're not showing up anywhere, that's weird. Further, when you have these particular pictures and this and that all over your profile, and nobody with your last name is liking them, where's your family at? It just lets you, it just shows you, if somebody tells a lie, it's hard to cover up everything at once. It's just not, human beings are not designed for it. I've heard of some people in the past who burned down a house for their insurance money. And the head of the family was so paranoid about other people connected mentioning anything on a cell phone. like text messaging especially, but even talking about it on the phone. And it just shows you, okay, you got that part covered. Here's the other issue. If some agency did look at the cell phones, it's not that I mean, you're clear enough not to say this and not to say that, but there's other things that you should have said if it was authentic. I mean, would something like that happen if it was organic, a house burning down of the family's home? Wouldn't you think they would mention it at some point? In casual conversation, text messaging, Facebook messaging, things like that. Wouldn't you think it would come up at some point? But if they look through that and nobody mentioned it the whole time, nobody, not one single mention of it, that alone is suspicious. So you made the successful idea. Don't say the bad things, but you forgot there's other things that you're supposed to say. It's hard to remember both of those things at once. You can remember what to do, but you don't remember what not to do. You remember what not to say, but you don't remember what you should say. It's hard to do that all at once. It's just not in human nature. That's why part of the reason I just haven't, other than moral issues, I've just never gotten into it. You know, if I need to mislead someone away from a subject, I can do that. I'm not remembering two things. I'm not doing that. I don't have to tell you. If there's something I don't want you to know about or I don't want to talk about, I don't have to talk about it. I'm not going to willingly walk into it and then start telling you lies. And that's a slippery slope anyway. So that's what you're going to get from me. You're going to get the truth, or I'm just not going to talk about the subject. Simple as that. I have that choice. And that's the two choices I'm always going to make. If you hear me say something, to my knowledge, it's the truth. You know, and I'm not even big about talking about something I'm not 100% sure about. So it's rare that I accidentally lie. You know, a lot of people, you got to give people a pass on that. If they tell you something, somebody told them something, and they believe them, and then they tell you, and it turns out not to be true. They tried to tell it was the truth as they saw it. So you can give people a pass on that. I'm not even counting that. But it's rare that I even do that. I pretty much have to see it with my own eyes. And to me, I can tell you it's a healthier way to be. And it's also easier to spot other liars. Believe it or not, it is. I mean, you get a little bit more space up here. You know, when you're not having to remember your own lies and the truth, you can tend to spot other people. You can see it in their face when they're lying a lot of times. It just, like I said, that human beings are just not built for it. And to me, that's a little strange. You know, you look all throughout nature, you got these animals that basically lie to each other, manner of speaking, because the camouflage. You know, I think there's some type of turtle or something that would dangle its tongue out like a worm or something like that for a fish to get close, and that snaps it. So some type of snapping turtle. The camouflage, all kinds of things like that. Snakes trying to look like more venomous snakes. It's kind of a manner of speaking as much as an animal can, lying. Playing dead. You know, when it's not involuntary, like possums, fainting goats. But it just shows you human beings just are not really made to do it. And I don't know what it would do to somebody over years of living a lie. It's bound to take a mental toll on you. It's bound to take even like a health toll on you. It just, I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. As complex, as much data as I keep here all the time, as much things as I worry about and think about too much, I can be at work, just kind of in the zone. And memories will come up from 30 years ago. Not good memories, by the way. Those seem to be harder to come by. But you remember embarrassing things from years ago? All that stuff comes up. Could you imagine having to rewire everything to keep up with the truth and lies? I'm not going to do that. And I suggest you don't either. But, you know, it is kind of a fun thing since you're having to deal with these people anyway, online. you can spot these liars. Because like I said, it's hard to think of all that stuff at once. It's hard to. You can remember what to say, but you can't necessarily remember what not to say, what to do and what not to do. It's hard to do that. You know, it's like if somebody's trying to cover up for like a murder or something like that. You remember all the things, okay, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do this, I don't need to do that. But can you remember what you do need to do also? You know, it's complicated. It's extremely complicated. Simplifies your life. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth or don't talk about the situation. Plain and simple. Be true to yourself. Just tell the truth, be honest, be yourself.